Sweet. I'm live.
Sorry I didn't go or message you sooner. I was kind of dealing with a lot of drama. And I'm sorry. But yeah. You. Okay, we're good.
Hi, Wolf and Raven. Let's see. Hit this button. Pop out chat. There we go. And we're going to do Percy Jackson first. There we go. Hi, Little Bear. Welcome to Dirty Uncle Byron Does Story Time. I'm your host, Dirty Uncle Byron. Move this a little bit closer. And we're going to turn that up a little bit. There we go. Oh, we really do, Little Bear.
Fairy goddess.
I slip up occasionally, Wolf and Raven, but no. Oh, damn. Why do you always find the gingers?
Would you like me to send her to you?
Of course.
I've already sent her to you once, I think. But you know why I always find the gingers? Because that's what I go after on my For You page. That's what I like the most. I mean, you know.
Oh, that I know. Oh, redheads are fucking perfect, or what they are. There we go. Is there anybody who doesn't hate being blonde? I mean, no offense, being blonde sucks. I know. I was blonde recently. Yeah, but we call those people psychopaths, dear. Yes, we are just on YouTube. Misade, come and me one go home. Yes, we are just on YouTube. I am not doing story time on TikTok anymore. the two lives just gets too confusing, and it's not something that I really want to do. Okay, but we are going to start reading. No, we are not banned on TikTok. Wolf and Raven, I would agree with that statement. So we are going to start reading because here's something I found out about YouTube. If you guys come into my live late, you can back it the fuck up and watch what you missed. So I mean, upside. Anyways, we are going to start off with chapter 4 of Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse. Hold on, real quick. That was disgusting. Okay. Chapter 4 Thalia torches New England. Artemis assured us that dawn was coming, but you could have fooled me. It was colder and darker and snowier than ever. Up on the hill, Westover Hall's windows were completely lightless. I wondered if the teachers had even noticed the D'Angelos and Dr. Thorne were missing yet. I didn't want to be around when they did. With my luck, the only name Mrs. Gottschalk would remember was Percy Jackson, and then I'd be the subject of a nationwide manhunt. Again. The hunters broke camp as quickly as they'd set it up. I stood shivering in the snow, unlike the hunters, who didn't seem to feel at all uncomfortable. And Artemis stared into the east like she was expecting something. Bianca sat off to one side, talking with Nico. I could tell from his gloomy face that she was explaining her decision to join the hunt. I couldn't help thinking how selfish it was of her abandoning her brother like that. Thalia and Grover came up and huddled around me, anxious to hear what had happened in my audience with the goddess. When I told them, Grover turned pale. The last time hunters visited camp, it didn't go well. How'd they even show up here, I wondered. I mean, they just appeared out of nowhere. And Bianca joined them, Thalia said, disgusted. It's all Zoe's fault. That stuck up, no good. Who can blame her, Grover said. Eternity with Artemis? He heaved a big sigh. Hey, Bailey. Thalia rolled her eyes. You satyrs, you're all in love with Artemis. Don't you get that she'll never love you back? But she's so into nature, Grover swooned. You're nuts, said Thalia. Nuts and berries, Grover said dreamily. Yeah. Finally, the sky began to lighten. Artemis muttered, About time. He's so lazy during the winter. You're, waiting for sunrise, I asked. For my brother, yes. I didn't want to be rude. I mean, I knew the legends about Apollo, or sometimes Helios, driving a big sun chariot across the sky. But I also knew that the sun was really a star about a zillion miles away. I'd gotten used to some of the Greek myths being true, but still, I didn't see how Apollo could drive the sun. It's not exactly as you think, Artemis said, like she was reading my mind. Oh, okay. I started to relax. So it's not like he'll be pulling up in a. There was a sudden burst of light on the horizon, a blast of warmth. Don't look, Artemis advised. Not until he parks. Parks? Hey, Sapphire Wolf. I averted my eyes and saw that the other kids were doing the same. The light and warmth intensified until my winter coat felt like it was melting off of me. Then suddenly, the light died. I looked and I couldn't believe it. It was my car. Well, the car I wanted anyway, a red convertible Maserati Spider. It was so awesome it glowed. Then I realized it was glowing because the metal was hot. The snow had melted around the Maserati in a perfect circle, which explained why I was now standing on green grass and my shoes were wet. The driver got out smiling. He looked about 17 or 18, and for a second I had the uneasy feeling it was Luke, my old enemy. This guy had the same sandy hair and outdoorsy good looks, but it wasn't Luke. This guy was taller, with no scar on his face like Luke's. His smile was brighter and more playful. Luke didn't do much more than scowl and sneer these days. The Maserati driver wore jeans and loafers and a sleeveless t-shirt. Wow, Thalia muttered. Apollo is hot. He's the sun god, I said. That's not what I meant. Little sister, Apollo called. If his teeth were any whiter, he could have blinded us without the sun car. What's up? You never call. You never write. I was getting worried. Artemis sighed. I'm fine, Apollo, and I am not your little sister. Hey, I was born first. We're twins. How many millennia do we have to argue? So what's up? He interrupted. Got the girls with you, I see. Y'all need some tips on archery? Artemis grit her teeth. I need a favor. I have some hunting to do alone. I need you to take my companions to Camp Half Blood. Sure, sis. Then he raised his hands in a stop everything gesture. I feel a high Q coming on. The hunters all groaned. Apparently, they'd met Apollo before. He cleared his throat and held up one hand dramatically. Green grass breaks through the snow. Artemis pleads for my Artemis pleads for my help. I am so cool. He grinned at us, waiting for applause. That last line was only 4 syllables, Artemis said. Apollo frowned. Was it? Yes, what about I am so big headed? No, no, that's 6 syllables. He started muttering to himself. Zoe Nightshade turned to us. Lord Apollo has been going through this haiku phase ever since he visited Japan. 'Tis not as bad as the time he visited Limerick. If I had to hear one more poem that started with There once was a goddess from Sparta. I've got it, Apollo announced. I am so awesome. That's 5 syllables. He bowed, looking very pleased with himself. And now, sis, transportation for the hunters, you say? Good timing. I was just about ready to roll. These demigods will also need a ride, Artemis said, pointing to us, some of Chiron's campers. No problem. Apollo checked us out. Let's see. Dahlia, right? I've heard all about you. Dahlia blushed. Hi, Lord Apollo. Zeus's girl, yes? Makes you my half sister. Used to be a tree, didn't you? Glad you're back. I hate it when pretty girls turn into trees. Man, I remember one time. Brother, Artemis said, you should get going. All right. Then he looked at me and his eyes narrowed. Percy Jackson? Yeah, yes, sir. It seemed weird calling a teenager sir, but I'd learned to be careful with immortals. They tended to get offended easily. Then they blew stuff up. Apollo studied me, but he didn't say anything, which I found a little creepy. Well, he said at last, we better load up, huh? Ride only goes one way, west, and if you miss it, you miss it. I looked at the Maserati, which would seat 2 people max. There were about 20 of us. Cool car, Nico said. Thanks, kid, Apollo said. But how will we all fit? Oh, Apollo seemed to notice the problem for the first time. Well, yeah, I hate to change out of sports car mode, but I suppose. He took out his car keys and beeped the security alarm button. Chirp, chirp. For a moment, the car glowed brightly again. When the glare died, the Maserati had been replaced by one of those turtle top shuttle buses like we used for school basketball games. Hello. Right, he said. Everybody in. Zoe ordered the hunters to start loading. She picked up her camping pack, and Apollo said, Here, sweetheart, let me get that. Zoe recoiled. Her eyes flashed murderously. Brother, Artemis chided, you do not help my hunters. You do not look at, talk to, or flirt with my hunters. And you do not call them sweetheart. Apollo spread his hands. Sorry, I forgot. Hey, sis, where are you off to anyway? Hunting, Artemis said. It's none of your business. I'll find out. I see all, know all. Artemis snorted. Just drop them off, Apollo, and no messing around. No, no, I never mess around. Artemis rolled her eyes and then looked at us. I will see you by winter solstice. Zoe, you are in charge of the hunters. Do well. Do as I would do. Zoe straightened. Yes, my lady. Artemis knelt and touched the ground as if looking for tracks. When she rose, she looked troubled. So much danger. The beast must be found. She sprinted toward the woods and melted into the snow and shadows. Apollo turned and grinned, jangling the car keys on his finger. So, he said, who wants to drive? I'm so glad I'm not like Apollo. The hunters piled into the van. They all crammed into the back so they'd be as far away as possible from Apollo and the rest of us, highly infectious males. Bianca sat with them, leaving her little brother to hang out in the front with us, which seemed cold to me, but Nico didn't seem to mind. This is so cool, Nico said, jumping up and down in the driver's seat. Is this really the sun? I thought Helios and Selene were the sun and moon gods. How come sometimes it's them and sometimes it's you and Artemis? Downsizing, Apollo said. The Romans started it. They couldn't afford all those temple sacrifices, so they laid off Helios and Selene and folded their duties into our job descriptions. My sis got the moon. I got the sun. It was pretty annoying at first, but at least I got this cool car. But how does it work? Nico asked. I thought the sun was a big fiery ball of gas. Apollo chuckled and ruffled Nico's hair. That rumor probably got started because Artemis used to call me a big fiery ball of gas. Seriously, kid, it all depends on whether you're talking astronomy or philosophy. You want to talk astronomy? Pah, what fun is that? You want to talk about how humans think about the sun? Ah, now that's more interesting. They've got a lot riding on the sun, so to speak. It keeps them warm, grows the crops, powers engines, makes everything look, well, sunnier. This chariot is built out of human dreams about the sun, kid. It's as old as Western civilization. Every day it drives across the sky from east to west, lighting up all those puny little mortal lives. The chariot is a manifestation of the sun's power, the way mortals perceive it. Make sense? Nico shook his head. No. Well, then, just think of it as a really powerful, really dangerous solar car. Can I drive? Nope, too young. Ooh, ooh, Grover raised his hand. No, Apollo said, too furry. He looked past me and focused on Thalia. Daughter of Zeus, he said, Lord of the Sky. Perfect. Oh, no, Thalia shook her head. No thanks. Come on, Apollo said. How old are you? Thalia hesitated. I don't know. It was sad but true. She'd been turned into a tree when she was 12, but that had been 7 years ago. So she should be 19 if you went by years. But she still felt like she was 12, and if you looked at her, she seemed somewhere in between. The best Chiron could figure, she had kept aging while in tree form, but much more slowly. Apollo tapped his fingers to his lips. You're 15, almost 16. How do you know that? Hey, I'm the god of prophecy. I know stuff. You'll turn 16 in about a week. That's my birthday, December 22nd, which means you're old enough now to drive with a learner's permit. Dahlia shifted her feet nervously. Uh, I know what you're going to say, Apollo said. You don't deserve an honor like driving the Sun Chariot. That's not what I was going to say. Don't sweat it. Maine to Long Island is a really short trip. And don't worry about what happened to the last kid I trained. You're Zeus's daughter. He's not going to blast you out of the sky. Apollo laughed good-naturedly. The rest of us didn't join him. Thalia tried to protest, but Apollo was absolutely not going to take no for an answer. He hit a button on the dashboard, and a sign popped up along the top of the windshield. I had to read it backwards, which for a dyslexic really isn't that different than reading forward. I was pretty sure it said, Warning Student Driver. Take it away, Apollo told Thalia. You're going to be a natural. I'll admit, I was jealous. I couldn't wait to start driving. A couple of times that fall, my mom had taken me out to Montauk when the beach road was empty, and she'd let me try out her Mazda. I mean, yeah, that was a Japanese compact, and this was the Sun Chariot, but how different could it be? Speed equals heat, Apollo advised. So start slowly, and make sure you've got good altitude before you really open her up. Dahlia gripped the wheels so tight, her knuckles turned white. She looked like she was going to be sick. What's wrong? I asked her. Nothing, she said shakily. Nothing is wrong. She pulled back on the wheel. It tilted, and the bus lurched upward so fast, I fell back and crashed against something soft. Ow, Grover said. Sorry. Slower, Apollo said. Sorry, Thalia said. I've got it under control. I managed to get to my feet. Looking out the window, I saw a smoking ring of trees from the clearing where we'd taken off. Dahlia, I said, lighten up on the accelerator. I've got it, Percy, she said, gritting her teeth, but she kept it floored. Loosen up, I told her. I'm loose, Thalia said. She was so stiff, she looked like she was made out of plywood. We need to veer south for Long Island, Apollo said. Hang a left. Thalia jerked the wheel and again threw me into Grover, who yelped. The other left, Apollo suggested. I made the mistake of looking out the window again. We were at airplane height now. So high the sky was starting to look black. Apollo said, and I got the feeling he was forcing himself to sound calm. A little lower, sweetheart. Cape Cod is freezing over. Dahlia tilted the wheel. Her face was chalk white, her forehead beaded with sweat. Something was definitely wrong. I'd never seen her like this. The bus pitched down and somebody screamed. Maybe it was me. Now we were heading straight toward the Atlantic Ocean at 1,000 miles an hour, the New England coastline off to our right, and it was getting hot in the bus. Apollo had been thrown somewhere in the back of the bus, but he started climbing up the rows of seats. Take the wheel, Grover begged him. No worries, Apollo said. He looked plenty worried. She just has to learn to. Whoa! I saw what he was saying. Down below us was a little snow covered New England town. At least it used to be snow covered. As I watched, the snow melted off the trees and the roofs and the lawns. The white steeple on a church turned brown and started to smolder. Little plumes of smoke like birthday candles were popping up all over the town. Trees and rooftops were catching fire. Pull up, I yelled. There was a wild light in Thalia's eyes. She yanked back on the wheel, and I held on this time. As we zoomed up, I could see through the back window that the fires in the town were being snuffed out by the sudden blast of cold. There, Apollo pointed. Long Island, dead ahead. Let's slow down, dear. Dead is only an expression. Thalia was thundering toward the coastline of northern Long Island. There was Camp Half Blood, the valley, the woods, the beach. I could see the dining pavilion and cabins and amphitheater. I'm under control, Thalia muttered. I'm under control. We were only a few hundred yards away now. Brake, Apollo said. I can do this. Brake! Thalia slammed her foot on the brake, and the sunbus pitched forward at a 45-degree angle, slamming into the Camp Half Blood canoe lake with a huge bloosh. Steam billowed up, sending several frightened naiads scrambling out of the water with half-woven wicker baskets. The bus bobbed to the surface along with a couple of capsized, half-melted canoes. Well, said Apollo with a brave smile. You were right, my dear. You had everything under control. Let's go see if we boiled anyone important, shall we? And that is the end of chapter 4, and that is a perfect description of Baby Dragon's driving. Luckily, she is not paying attention, and that is why I did not get hit.
Or maybe I did pay attention and I'm just waiting until, you're closer.
Yeah, possibly. But let's face it, she probably wasn't paying attention. After all, she doesn't love me. Really? Wow. Weren't you supposed to be cooking chicken nuggets or something?
I was supposed to be, and I was thinking about it until you started being an ass.
Here's my question. So we're having regular chicken nuggets for dinner tonight, right?
No, I was thinking about doing them just for a specific symbol.
Have you been eating candy?
Why?
Because it smells like candy.
Honestly, no.
She really is sweet-ish. She is sweet. She's also psychotic, murderous, evil. Did I miss anything? No? Okay, good. A virtual drink? Sapphire Wolf, if that is what I am thinking it is, I have never heard so much stupid in one sentence. Coca-Cola launched a virtual drink. I am Googling. Oh. It launched it virtually. Um, I am not sure. Um, okay, babe. I'm going to read this tagline, and you tell me if this soda sounds at all appealing to you, okay? Coca Cola Zero Sugar Bite will bring the flavor of pixels to life.
Cardboard on wheels.
Probably. I am a tech geek. I name and talk to my computers. I actually have a loving relationship with my computers, and even I don't want to try that. That and you kind of lost me with the zero sugar. I mean, god damn it, if I'm going to have a soda once in a while, it's going to have some fucking sugar in it. Well, Sapphire Wolf, I mean, that makes sense since you're a cokehead. Had to. Wow, Wolf and Raven, I didn't know you enjoyed a good DP. Hey, apparently Wolf and Raven likes DP. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that, would you? Babe? Would you have guessed that Wolf and Raven likes DP?
No, not at all.
I mean, that's very strange.
I know. Her, the sweet innocent girl that she is.
I know. You do realize with her being ace, she's probably not even going to get what the fuck we're saying, right?
Probably not.
Yeah. Wolf and Raven sticks tongue out. Babe, you want to do me a favor while you're sitting there and while I'm thinking about it?
No.
Please? Unplug my heater. Just in case I forget. How did I blindside your hubby?
What?
What?
Turn the fucking heater off itself.
That works. Wolf and Raven, like, that's even shocking. Okay. We are going to move on. Oh, Sapphire Wolf. I mean, come on. He should have seen that coming. You guys have seen enough of my lives. When someone mentions DP, the DP joke is going to get made, especially when they don't call it Dr. Pepper. Okay, anyways, moving on to Stone of Tears by Terry Goodkind, chapter 32. And we're going to do the low voice for this one. Chapter 32. The lightning didn't come anymore. The clouds still rolled around him, but the lightning didn't come. He walked without giving thought to where he was going. When he felt inexplicable danger, he skirted it to the sides. Vision tempted him to look, but he stoically ignored them. Almost not seeing it at first because of the dark clouds, he came upon another tower. It looked like the first, except it was a glossy black. At first, thinking he would avoid it, he found himself walking to one of the arches and peering in. The ground inside was covered with sand that was drifted into the corners, the same as the last tower, but it was black instead of white. It glimmered with the same prismatic light as the white sand. Curiosity overcame caution, and he reached inside, running a finger through the black grit covering the walls. It tasted sweet. The wizard who had given his life into this fire had done so to save another, not to save himself torture. This wizard had been altruistic, the other ignoble. No problem, Lumi. If having the gift meant he was a wizard, Richard wondered what kind he was. He would like to think of himself as high minded, but he had just killed another to save himself from torture. But he was not within his rights to. But was he not within his rights to kill to protect his life? Must he wrongly die to be honorable? Who was he to judge which of these wizards had been wiser, or which had done what was within his rights? The sparkling black sand fascinated him. It seemed to draw light from nowhere and reflected about the inside of the tower in winking colors. Richard retrieved an empty spice tin and scooped it full of the black sand. He tucked the tin back in his pack, hanging from Geraldine's saddle, while he whistled for Bonnie. She was off browsing again. Her ears swiveled toward him as her head came up. Dutifully, she trotted over and joined him and the other two horses, pushing her head against his shoulder in hopes of a neck scratch. As they left the tower behind, he gave her the scratch she wanted. His shirt was soaked with sweat as he hiked quickly across the barren ground. He wanted to be out of this valley and away from the magic, the spells, and the visions. Sweat rolled from his brow as he walked, trying to ignore familiar voices that called to him. He ached with desire to see the faces of loved ones who called his name, but he didn't look. Other voices hissed with menace and threat, but he kept moving. At times, the spells tingled against his flesh, burning with pricks of heat or cold or pain, and he rushed away from them even faster. As he wiped sweat from his eyes, they focused on the baked earth before him, and he saw tracks, his own. He realized that in trying to avoid the feelings of danger, the visions, and the voices, he must have been walking in circles. If in fact the footprints were real, he began to have the queasy feeling that the magic was trapping him. Maybe all this time he had been walking, he had not been making any headway out of the Valley of the Lost. Maybe he, too, was lost. How was he going to find a way out? He tugged the horses on and kept moving, but with a rising sense of panic. Unexpectedly, out of the dark fog before him, came a vision that startled him into a dead stop. It was Sister Verna. She was wandering aimlessly, her hands clasped prayerfully, her eyes skyward, and a blissful smile upon her lips. Richard stalked toward her. Be gone. I've had enough of these specters. Leave me alone. She didn't seem to hear him. That was impossible. She was easily close enough to hear him. He stepped closer, the air feeling abruptly thick and sparkling around him as he did so, until he seemed to step beyond it. Do you hear? Listen to me. I said be gone. Distant brown eyes focused on him. She held her arm out, her hand held up in forbidding. Leave me. I have found what I seek. Leave me to my peace, my bliss. As she turned away, Richard felt an apprehensive, tingling sensation all the way down to his toes. She wasn't trying to entice him as the other visions had. His hair tried to stand on end. Sister Verna? Could it be true? Could she be alive? Maybe he hadn't really killed her. Maybe it had all been a vision. Sister Verna, if it really is you, talk to me. She regarded him with a puzzled frown. Richard? Of course, Richard. Go, she whispered as her eyes turned up once more. I am with him. Him? Him who? Please, Richard, you are tainted. Go away. If you are a vision, then you go away. She regarded him with pleading. Please, Richard, you're disturbing him. Don't ruin what I found. What have you found? Is it Jedediah? The Creator, she said in a hallowed tone. Richard peered skyward. I don't see anyone. She turned her back to him and strolled away. Leave me to him. Richard didn't know if this was the real Sister Verna or an illusion, or maybe the dead sister's spirit. Which was true? How could he tell? He had promised the real sister that she would make it through, that he would help her. He followed after her before she could disappear into the dark fog. What does the Creator look like, Sister Verna? Is he young? Old? Does he have long hair? Short? Does he have all his teeth? She turned in a rage. Leave me! The menace in her expression froze him in his tracks. No, listen to me, Sister Verna. You're coming with me. I'm not leaving you trapped in this spell. That's all you see, an enchantment spell. He reasoned that if she was a specter, and he took her with him, she would vanish when they left the magic of the valley. If she was real, well, then he would be saving her. She would be alive. Though he wished to be free of her, he wished more that she was alive, and that she wouldn't really do to him what she had done back in the tower. He didn't want that to be the true Sister Verna. He started toward her again. Her hand came up as if to push him. Even though he was a good 10 paces away, the force of the impact threw him to the ground. He rolled over, clutching his chest, clutching at the receding agony. It felt like what had been done to him in the tower hard, burning pain, but it faded faster. Wincing, he sat up, quickly gathering his wits as he gasped for breath. He looked up to check where the sister was in case she was about to hurt him again, until what he saw halted his breath only half out of his lungs. As the sister once again stared skyward, the dark fog around them swirled and coalesced into forms. The forms of wraiths, insubstantial figures, seething, simmering with death. Their faces churned with steaming, shifting shadows that conjoined into glowing red eyes set in inky faces, hot tongues of flame alive with hate, glowering out from eternal night. Bumps rippled and tingled across the backs of his shoulders. When he had been in the spirit house and felt the squealing on the other side of the door, when he had sensed the man about to kill Chandalin, and when he had first encountered the sisters, he had felt an overwhelming, inexplicable sense of danger. He felt that danger now. There wasn't the slightest doubt in his mind that these things were part of the magic of the valley, and that that magic had at last found an intruder, him. Verna, he screamed. She scowled down at him. I told you, Richard, I am to be addressed as Sister Verna. Is that what you would do to your charges? Hurt them with your power? She looked startled. But is this your eternal paradise? Quarreling with people? Hurting them? He rushed to his knees, eyeing the drifting forms about them. Sister, we have to get out of here. I wish to stay with him. I have found my bliss. This is your idea of paradise, giving pain? Answer me, Sister Verna. Is that what your creator wishes of you? To hurt the people you were responsible for? She gaped at him, quickness suddenly coming to her movements as she rushed to him. Did I hurt you? She gripped his shoulders. Oh, child, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. He came the rest of the way to his feet and shook her. Sister, we have to get out of here. I don't know how. Tell me how to get out of here before it's too late. But I wish to stay. Look around, Sister Verna. What do you see? She jerked her head woodenly about from one dark form to another, then to him. Richard? Richard angrily pointed skyward. Look, sister, that's not the creator. It's the keeper. She peered where he directed. With a gasp, her fingers flew to her mouth. The red glow in the eyes of one of the dark, shifting forms intensified into burning embers. The sense of danger flamed through Richard's very soul. The sword was out in a blink. The vaporous wraith solidified into solid bone and muscle, claws and fangs, into a frightening beast covered with a dark, cracked, leathery hide, dappled with hideous, separating sores. It descended upon him in a terrifying rush. With the sword gripped in both hands, Richard screamed with unleashed fury, driving the sword through the beast's chest as it rushed at him. Soft flesh and hard bone hissed at contact with the blade. The monster slid from the sword and hit the ground like a bucket of slop, its hide not entirely able to contain its contents. A drop of blood splattered on Richard's arm, burning through his shirt and into his flesh. From the inside, the beast boiled and frothed. Worms wriggled from the abscessed sores. Sister Verna stared wide-eyed at the bubbling, smoking mass. He grabbed her curly hair in his fist and twisted her head to look at the forms that were closing in. Is this your idea of paradise? Look! Look at them! He dragged her backward with him as the dark, watery blood running from the beast ignited, sending acrid, oily black smoke curling from the flames. Richard halted when he remembered what she had told him before about backing into worse danger. He smelled burning flesh and, realizing it was his own, spat on the painful, smoking spot of the beast's blood on his arm. He took in a quick sweep of the area. There were more of the forms behind. Another of them solidified into a beast, this time with cloven hooves and a broad snout. Razor-sharp tusks sprouted, growing into long, curved weapons. Snorting, it charged them. Richard drove his sword downward through the thing's skull as it tried to gore him. With a squeal, the beast collapsed heavily. By the time the bulky body hit the ground, it had mutated to a writhing mass of snakes. They tumbled and rolled as they hit. No playing with the snakes, dear. The tangled pile of them wriggling apart. Hundreds of hooded red eyes glowered up at him. Red tongues flicked the air as if as the yellow and black banded bodies slithered toward the two of them. Dear, no playing with the snakes. Richard didn't think they were more incorporeal illusions. The place on his arm where the drop of blood had splattered burned painfully. The snakes hissed. Some coiled to strike, revealing dripping fangs. Richard, we have to get out of here. Come, child. They turned and ran, the floating red-eyed forms following. Richard felt the thick air as he went through. The air around him sparkled. Sister Verna cried out. He turned to see her on the ground before the snakes. She sprang to her feet and tried again, but could not pass through. To her, the air was solid. She stood silently a moment, going calm. She clasped her hands. Richard, I am trapped in this spell. I cannot leave it. It is me the spell captured and recognizes. It is too late for me. Save yourself. Run. Without me, you may have a chance. Hurry. Go. There seemed to be a lot more snakes than Richard had seen at first. The ground was alive with them. They were surrounding him. He struck as they did and beheaded 3 that came too close. The headless bodies writhed and then disassembled into hundreds of huge, glossy, black and brown banded bugs. Well, this just gets better and better. They skittered in every direction. Some ran up his pant leg. He frantically shook his legs, trying to get them out. Each bite felt like a hot coal on his flesh. He stomped his feet to get them off. From the ground where he had killed the snakes, more of the bugs poured out, their hard-shelled bodies tumbling over each other, rustling like the sound of dry leaves blowing across parched earth. Dancing among the clicking bugs and between the squirming snakes, he stepped back into the sparkling air. Without you, I don't have a chance. You're coming with me. He enfolded her in his arms and threw himself sword first at the sparkling barrier. The wall seemed hard at first, but then the air about them exploded in glittering flashes. Lines of light like crazed glass shot in every direction. The air erupted in a burst of sparkles and a crack of thunder. The darting sparkles slowed and then drifted to earth like fat flakes of snow, their light extinguishing when they touched the ground. The two of them moved past the vanished barrier, free of the spell. The dark forms followed. The snakes followed. Bugs popped and crunched under his boots. Richard's grip tightened on the sword. Let's get out of here. She took 2 strides and then froze. What's wrong? I can't feel the way, she whispered. Richard, I can't feel the gaps. She turned to him. Do you feel anything? He shook his head. Try, Richard. Try to feel where there is less danger. He stomped his feet to knock the bugs off his legs and swiped off one that had made it to his face. Snakes were still pouring from the ground where the monster had fallen. They boiled up like water from a spring. I can't. I feel danger all about. It's the same everywhere. Which way? She clutched her skirt in a fist. I don't know. Richard heard a scream. The familiar voice wrenched his attention before he could stop himself. Kaylin was standing where the snakes poured from the ground. They slithered up and over her as if she were a rock in a living stream of snakes. She held her arms out to him. Richard, help me! You said you would love me always. Please, Richard, don't leave me to this. Help me! His own voice came in a shaky whisper. Sister Verna, what do you see? Jedediah, she answered quietly. There are snakes all over him. He wants my help. May the Creator have mercy on us. Why should he start now? Do not speak blasphemy. He forced himself to turn from the vision. Gripping the sister's arm, he led her away. They sidestepped as they watched the forms drifting around them. They avoided the snakes, but it was impossible not to step on the huge bugs. He knew that moving anywhere without knowing where to go could be more dangerous than standing still. Now that the magic had found them, even so, he couldn't make his feet stop. Finally, they reached ground that was clear of snakes and bugs for the moment. We're running out of time. We're running out of time. We're running out of time. Do you feel anything yet? Do you feel the way? Nothing. I'm sorry, Richard. I have failed in my duty, failed the Creator. I've killed us both. Not yet. Richard whistled for the horses. They came at a trot, ignored by the dark forms. Bonnie nuzzled her head against him, forcing him back a step. Sister Verna took up the lead line and started leading Jessup away. No, Richard leapt up onto Bonnie. He swatted 2 clicking bugs from his pant leg. Mount up. Hurry. Sister Verna stared at him. Richard, we can't ride the horses. I told you that. They are just dumb animals. They will be spooked and take us into a storm of spells. We can't control them without bits. Sister, you told me you read the Adventures of Bonnie Day. Do you remember when the 3 heroes were taking the injured people to safety and they came to the poison river that couldn't be crossed? What did they say? They said that the people just had to have faith that it could be done. Bonnie, Geraldine, and Jessup led them across the river. Have faith, sister. Mount up. Hurry. You want me to do something I know will get us killed because of some fool thing you read in a book? We must walk. Bonnie tossed her head and danced about. Richard took up the slack in the reins to keep her in place. You don't know the way. I don't know the way. If we stay, we die. Then what good is riding going to do? She had to give a sharp tug to keep Jessup still. He was roused by Bonnie's excitement. Sister, what have the horses been doing all day whenever we let them? Browsing on grass that isn't there. They're having visions. Are they? Do you know that? What if what we're seeing is the illusion? Maybe they see what's really here. Now let's go. The dark forms were closer, their eyes glowing a brighter red. Sister Verna glanced at them and then pulled herself up onto the saddle. But have a little faith, sister. Bonnie pranced sideways, eager to be off. I promised you I would save you, and I intend to. I'll lead. Don't hold back. Richard gave his horse a sharp kick in the ribs with his heels while shouting the command. She leapt out into a dead run. The other 2 horses sprang to follow. He leaned forward over Bonnie's withers as she stretched into the gallop. He let her have free rein without giving her any hint of direction. He focused on her ears instead of what lay ahead, not wanting to influence her. Richard, Sister Verna screamed from behind. In the name of the Creator, watch where you're going. Don't you see what you're leading that horse into? I'm not leading her, he called out over the sound of thundering hooves. She is picking her own course. The sister galloped up beside him, her eyebrows knit together in fury. Are you insane? Look at where you're headed. Richard snatched a glance. They were rushing headlong for the edge of a cliff. Close your eyes, sister. Have you lost your... Close your eyes. It's a vision of a fear we all have in common, falling, just like we both saw snakes. The snakes were real. If you're wrong, we will be killed. Close your eyes. If it's really there, the horses won't run over the edge of a cliff. He hoped he was right about that. Unless it's really there, and the magic shows them a vision of flat ground so as to kill us. If we stay, we die. We have no choice. He heard a growled curse from her as she hauled in on her left rein, trying to turn her horse, but Jessup stayed with Bonnie. Bonnie was leading. Jessup and Geraldine wouldn't leave her. I told you destroying those bits was foolish. We can't control them. They're running away with us. I told you I would save you. Destroying those bits is what will save you. My eyes are closed. If you want to live, close yours. Sister Verna was silent as the 3 horses thundered on. Richard's eyes were squeezed shut. When he judged they should be at the brink, he held his breath. He prayed that the good spirits would be with him this time. His legs tingled in anticipation of plummeting over a cliff. He tried not to think of what it would be like on the way down. Shared fear, that's all it was. He realized he was holding Bonnie's mane in a death grip. He relaxed his fingers but kept his eyes closed. The plunge didn't come. The three horses galloped on. He did nothing to slow them, but let them run as they would. They were in a frisky mood from grazing all day, and he could tell they were enjoying the run. They were running for the sheer joy of it. After a time, Richard realized that the sound of their hooves was changing. It wasn't as sharp, it had grown softer. Richard, we're out of the valley! He looked back over his shoulder to see the wisp of dark storm clouds boiling at the edge of the horizon. The golden sun hung low in the sky over the grassy, undulating ground beneath them. Their horses slowed to a canter. Are you sure? Are you sure we're away from it? She nodded. This is the old world. I know this place. But it could still be an illusion to give us confidence and trap us before we're clear. Must you always question what I tell you? I can feel it with my Han. This is no illusion. We are safely out of the valley and away from its magic. It cannot reach us now. Richard wondered briefly if she could still be an illusion, but he too sensed that the danger was no longer there. He leaned forward and gave Bonnie's warm neck a big hug. The immense hills that they were entering were barren of trees, covered with clumps of grass and wildflowers. The low places sprinkled throughout with sandy-colored rocks. The sun shined warmly, but it no longer scorched the land. Richard laughed into the wind at his face. He grinned at Sister Verna, but she wasn't smiling. Her brow was creased with a scowl as she scanned the sweep of hills before them. Wipe that grin off your face, she snapped. I'm just happy we made it. I'm happy you're alive, sister. If you had any idea how angry I am with you right now, Richard, you would not be quite so pleased I am still with you. Take this advice seriously. You would be doing yourself a great favor right now if you kept that tongue of yours still. He could only shake his head. And that is the end of chapter 32. And as a special treat, to let you guys know where we're going to be picking up tomorrow night, chapter 33. You must cut off my arm. Zed drew the sleeve of the sky blue satin robe down her arm. And of course, Baby Dragon's not paying attention.
I am listening.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Then where are we picking up tomorrow?
Why is Zed getting his arm chopped off?
No, Addie wants her arm chopped off.
Okay, Addie, I'm sorry. It's hard to tell which voice is which.
Excuse me. Addie and Zed are distinctly different.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Verna is not an idiot. Verna only knows one form of the world. Verna knows one form of the world, the one that she's been raised with for hundreds of years because she's old as fuck. Anyways, she only knows that one form of the world. She only knows that one form of beliefs. She only knows that one form of living.
Okay, I found the next toy I really want to try.
What's that? Where did we find this at?
Oh no, this is just a picture of what it looks like, but it's not that actually gonna be that big. But yeah.
Where did we find this?
TikTok videos. Remember?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing, Wolf and Raven. She can learn new things, but as of right now, she's not an idiot. So here's the thing. Really? Einstein hated calling somebody an idiot. The only people he would call idiots were the people who didn't want to learn more. Yeah, here's the thing. She's not an idiot either. She's just unlearned. Even in the Bobby Singer vernacular. Bobby only called the boys idiots when they knew better and still did it anyways. But anyways, ladies and gents, that is it for story time tonight. Holy shit, I'm done at 9:13. I might actually get to bed at a decent time. And we still haven't had dinner. So that's going to be a thing. There we go. So, guys, I love you. I'm sorry it was so short tonight. But, well, there will be longer chapters in the future. You know Terry Goodkind. Anyways, love you guys. I hope you have a nice night. Be safe. Do your research. If you can't be good at it. Always do the thing. And I will talk to you guys later. I will probably see you tomorrow. If not for, at the very least for story time. If not, we may go live earlier for me doing more home remodel shit. So, yay. Sleep is not God. None of the gods are the gods of sleep, sadly. All right. Love you guys. Have a nice night. Bye.